Welcome, everyone, to Talks with Meah podcast, Entertainment Edition. This is the only show that breaks down the journey on how to become the next media mogul with weekly interviews from entertainment industry's biggest game changers. Today, we have an exceptionally dope guest, Jameer Pond. He is an award-winning producer, cultural commentator, and moth storytelling champion. You may have seen him on BET's Black Coffee or BuzzFeed's Cocoa Butter. He is also he's currently a creative video director at Condé Nast, working for brands like Vanity Fair, GQ, and Vogue, and many, many more. And he's also my former coworker, and he's probably one of the dopest, flyest people I know. So thank you, Jameer. Welcome.
First of all, thank you for the introduction. Like, it mean a lot. But I don't think I know that you left the company. I
was thinking that too. I was like, I don't think I told. I mean, I put it in like the dev chat, but I think you had left already.
Oh no.
Yeah, my last day was last Wednesday.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well,
we can talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, we can talk about it. Hey, congrats on the continuous journey, wherever it may take you. Cause I know like the world is like hella open for you. And
thank you.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you now and in advance. So
I appreciate that. That's one thing I will say. Like, I feel like you've always been such like a positive person. Like, your energy has always been so good. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to interview you, outside of like you being just a dope creative. And I swear, like every time I see you, I'll be like, can I wear that? Like, I'll be thinking in my head, like, I think I can rock that hoodie, those pants.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
So I want to talk about the first question. Like, how long has your journey been? Like, how many years has it taken for you to get here where you are right now?
My whole life, for real. Like it took me my whole life to get to this space that I am now. I think in terms of my career, if we're talking about just kind of being a live storyteller and a creative video director at Condé Nast, like more than 10 years for sure. I started off as my professional career. Probably like my first job was at Hot 97 and WBLS radio stations in New York City. And I started off as like a producer there, and then I always wanted to work my way on camera and then work my way on the radio. And so like I kind of, production for me was like an ends to a means, but I had no idea like what I was acquiring in my like utility belt of just skill by just being around and doing that and taking and having that job. And it was like my dojo. So I learned a lot about the business. And I went to BuzzFeed Cocoa Butter, and that's when I was really like started to get my own voice. So I had the production skills, but I started working on videos. And they still use this format, like the Black Moms Trial or the Black People Trial. Yeah. Shout out to
popular.
Shout out to Chantal Rochelle, my manager at the time. Like we came up with that together, and like just to see it blossom and really blow up, made me be more confident about my voice and how I was using it, because I was producing the videos. When I came to Condé in 2020, I was kind of I didn't know like because I hadn't grown up around the brands. And so I'm like, this seemed like a cool job, but I don't know. Like it seemed really prestigious. Like I have no idea.
Legacy magazines.
Magazines, and I'm like, this ain't really my vibe like that. Like, but I will say I've been here for almost 3 years. And when you talk about like my style, I think my confidence grew from being in a place where I didn't identify, where I was like a fish out of water, because it forced me to be uncomfortable, and it showed me how much I could grow from being uncomfortable. And I lacked a lot of confidence on set. I'll be honest, because I was seeing people who didn't look like me. I came from predominantly Black places of work. I was comfortable, and now seeing people who don't look like me, and I have to like command a room and talk to people, and I was in my head a lot. But over the years, like it helped me become a better director, being forced out of my comfort zone. And so like win, lose, or draw, like I got here. It's a long journey, but I got here being consistent, being curious in terms of like opportunities, and taking classes, and learning how to ask people for help and opportunity. And
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad because like I wouldn't be here without it.
Nice. You've answered so many of my questions already, but
Okay,
I'm gonna go.
okay.
It's okay. We're gonna break it down more.
All right,
I want to
cool.
go back to the storytelling and how did
Mhm.
that like? How did your love for storytelling develop?
Mm. So I would say like during like in the midst of the pandemic, I was recommended a storytelling class um from a friend of mine, and it looked interesting. I took the class, and after the 6-week class, um we had a class show, and did a class show, and it was being able to perform and do a story that was so like close to me and personal, but also like, I mean, it's just a good story in my opinion, to be able to do that and be able to get that reaction live was something I never felt. And I think like live storytelling, like people ask me like, are you do stand up? I'm like, nah, not exactly. Is it like poetry or spoken word? I'm like, nah. Like I literally stand on stage and tell a story about my life.
Your
And I find
origin.
it's so interesting because we all tell stories. We all comprised of stories. And I think that's where the love of storytelling comes from, because it doesn't matter like where you are in the world, what you look like, how you identify. It goes beyond sexual orientation and gender and race and religion. Storytelling is comprised of us. We are our own stories. So I think that's where my love came from. It's just like, oh, I get a chance to tell my story, and it's mine and it's personal, and started telling stories about my life. And it helped alongside with being at Conde, being able to tell other people's stories, and already having a lane in doing that for so many years, and so many celebrities, that it was normal. It was a smooth transition to be able to do it on stage, because I had been doing it.
Were you afraid to like specifically tell your story before you took that class?
Nah, I
Okay.
wasn't. I just had no idea that this was even a thing. Like live storytelling, it was so out of like I didn't know what it was. But I had been telling my story, or telling stories
Yeah.
of other people for so long, that I found that there was a space that allowed you to do it live. And I think with like in a year I became a story. I won like a story slam competition at the Moth, and became a storytelling champion. So I'm a champion of telling stories. Like you
I love
can't
that.
like that's boom right there. You gotta put my jersey in the rafters.
Let's talk about that a little bit more. How did that even come about? And then like what has that opportunity led for you? And like how is it, evolving your skills and your talents?
Yeah. So there's a storytelling company called The Moth, and
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what it was, but it's where I guess like storytellers from all over across the world you come together and you tell stories, and they have a podcast and live shows of people just telling their stories, from celebrities, from mostly just like regular, like just people, human beings.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even say regular, but just human beings. And so I went to a story slam competition. You put your name in a hat, and I went at the Bell House in Brooklyn, and I put my name in a hat, and my name got pulled like ninth. And I did a story about the first time I got booed on stage when I used to do stand up. I got booed at my college like my first week. It was wild. And so I had to live there, like being, but it was crazy. But like I came in like second place. And so I'm like, oh, this is fire. Like I'm gonna come back like every month, every week or whatever.
And
And
this was the first time you had done
first
anything like
time I
this.
had ever
Okay.
done it. And so like I kept going back to these events and I didn't get picked again for 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going every time, like prepared with a story, put my name in a bag, and I never get picked. And I did get picked. September of last year, I got picked, and I wasn't like necessarily prepared, but I was like, oh, I feel like they're gonna pick me. And they picked my name out of a bag, and I actually wound up winning that competition. And it was 10 people, including myself. And
Mm-hmm.
I had the best story according to the judges.
Can you
And
give us a little snippet? What was the story?
of the story, yeah, actually, hold on. The story is about how like when I was in college, like how trap music inspired me to sell weed.
Okay.
But I wasn't like a good weed salesman. I was just very much like into trap music, specifically Jeezy. So like my boy, I'm not gonna say the name, my boy, my sweet mate, he sold weed. And I knew he sold weed. And so I was impressed by his lifestyle. Like he was calm and chill, like he had a little jewelry, but he just, he had money for pizza and Chinese food. Like he was good. He was set in my mind at 18. So I had
Yeah.
knocked on his door and I was like, yo, P, like, like I want to start selling weed, basically. And he was like, wow. I was like, I don't know. This just look cool. Like, I didn't look cool. Now, mind you, like my mom is like a principal of elementary school. Like I never had to sell weed. It was
Oh,
never
you
on
wasn't
my radar.
struggling.
No, not at all. Like I was in dance class in high school. Like I didn't want to go to gym, so I took dance. I know the Janet Jackson if routine. Like I should not be selling weed, but I was intrigued. So I asked, and he was like, "All right." He gave me like three dime bags, or like 3 bags. It was like 3 dime bags of weed and some papers. And for a week, I was just trash because I was very enthusiastic. Like, hey, you want some weed? Like, if he was like, your feds. And I remember I thought public safety was following me one day, and I had my weed in my bag because I kept it on me because young Jeezy. And I thought they were chasing me, and they were actually going to a fire alarm. And I knew at that moment I was like, yo, I'm out. I'm done.
Right.
I'm out the
The
game.
risks are too high.
It's too high. Like in my mind, I'm Scarface. So I went back to him and I gave him back like all the bags and $1 because I had sold some papers to a cafeteria worker. But like I had told that story about my week-long career as a drug salesman. And yeah, I wound up being asked to perform in Aaron Davis Hall in Harlem. It was like a 700-person show
Mm-hmm.
February. That show went really well. And after that, they started asking me would I like to go throughout the country and tell stories. So I've told stories in LA, Santa Barbara, Princeton University,
Wow.
Boston, just to name a few, and just like telling my story. So not that specific one, but a story about my life. So it's opened up so many opportunities for me to be able to see the country, to be able to like just perform in front of thousands of people, and
Mm-hmm.
to really use my gift. Like I'm thankful and I'm blessed, and I don't take it for granted either. So
I
it's
love
opened up
that.
so much of the world for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And that drug story is very relatable because I also thought about it in college,
You
but I
thought
was
of
too
it?
scared. I was too scared.
Hey, don't do it. Don't do it. I was like, I'm not built for it. I wasn't built for it. Mm-mm.
But I love that so much because, storytelling does go hand in hand with what you do as a director and even you as like a host, and you've been on television shows,
Mm-hmm.
you've hosted panels and things like that. Specifically, what do you feel like, this era of like live storytelling and you going through the storytelling class, like how has it specifically helped you as a creative and you as a host and director?
I think it's helped me immensely. I think it helped me to listen more, honestly.
Mhm.
Um you'd be surprised how many people like tell you their story or willing to tell their story. People wanted like I love like being in Ubers and just like asking questions to Uber drivers because they have some of the most interesting stories. Like I learned mad
Mhm.
shit about Uber drivers. But like one or two questions can open up the world, you know? And so I think from me being able to tell stories, it made me be more intentional about the conversations I was having,
Mhm.
whether like in person or on stage, like you said, as a director to be able to talk to other like talent.
Mhm.
It's made me way more uh it's made me way more conscious about my power as somebody who is asking questions and to be able to ask intentional questions because I want
Mhm.
to hear like intentional answers. So
Yeah.
listening for the most part, that's what it's taught me.
I love that because you do have a lot of power, especially
Yeah.
like as a director. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And I think that's the biggest struggle for me, especially like when it comes to directing, is really like being able to connect with the person, the
Yeah.
talent.
Yeah.
So that's a really good gift to have and like skill to have in general.
Yeah.
Um, so I did want to touch a little bit on like you spoke about your first job out of college, working at the radio station to now. What would you say are some of like maybe the biggest lessons you've learned on that journey from then to now?
Man. I learned how valuable mentors are
Mm-hmm.
and how valuable it is to be a mentor to other people, to pass that down.
What do
Um,
you feel like you get from both?
to be a mentor, I think just being able to listen to lessons of people who have been, if not directly in your shoes, then close to
Mm-hmm.
your shoes. Not necessarily to be able to like take direct advice, but to be able to have somebody openly and vulnerably tell you about like what kind of wild shit is out in your profession. Like that takes a lot, and that it means a lot so much to me because you could be selfish. I
Mm-hmm.
think learning people are selfish and don't want to see other people win. Um, and not to say that you have to, but there are people who put on like they want to, and that's not the case. So I think hearing those things from people and being able to like learn and obtain lessons means a lot
Mm-hmm.
to me. And then what I get out of being a mentor, the joy and gratification in seeing people win or seeing people take a step towards what they want to do,
Mm-hmm.
or to, kind of just get outside of the box and see that they can do it as well.
Yeah.
Um, takes a lot of gratification. I've been around people and know people who were either forced out or just like could not did not see themselves achieving the things that it just wasn't fathomable, their dreams or life circumstances prevented them from chasing it, which is
Mm-hmm.
understandable. It's made me more grateful though that I've been allowed to be able to chase my dreams, have jobs, but chase my dreams and obtain the things that make me happy. And I know that that's not the case with everybody.
Yeah.
So if I can impart some kind of energy or wisdom towards that, like that makes me feel good. That makes me feel really good because people have gotten me to this point. So how
Mm-hmm.
dare I not help people, you know?
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest lessons. And then I would say the second one, because there's a lot, but um I think I think this is a current one that I'm realizing now. I knew how to do the things I'm doing for so long, but I just now discovered. And what I mean by that is that I've been a director. I've been, whether it was like traditional or non, I've been a storyteller, whether it was a traditional or non. I've worked in so many facets of like the areas that I'm doing now. I wasn't able to be confident enough to step up and say, this is what I'm doing. But I knew how to do all the things that I'm doing for like really, really well for like maybe 5-6 years now. So I never had the confidence to do it. Like really, like just do it, but not say, hey, I'm a director.
Yeah.
It's like this is a job for me. I'm just going through the motions, but not really looking up and being like, look at what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at what you're doing. You even realize like what you're doing, or you just doing it because you're in emotion. So it taught me, like looking back, I was like, oh, I'm not here by accident. I was actually putting in all the work that I needed to get to this point.
Yeah. Do you feel like this was always the goal? Like, or
nah,
it just happened?
It just happened. Like I said, for a long time, I wanted to be on-camera personality, like a host, interview people. Like that was my thing. What really was my thing though was acting. And because that did not seem like a ideal profession. I went to college for communications, and I found I was really good, like on camera and on radio, and my personality, and it started to work, and I was really passionate about it. But I think on the spectrum of directing and being behind the camera, I didn't cherish it. I didn't honor it. I didn't go to school for it. Again, it was an ends to a mean. So I had no idea. Like this was not on my bingo card to be a content dancer. I had no clue. That's why I think it's so dope, because like you kind of gotta go with the flow. But I had no idea. I wasn't even, again, I wanted to be noticed for my questions and my interaction with talent enough to be like, he deserves to be in front of the camera. And that happened. But all the other things, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I love that, because I mean, I feel like with most people, as long as you are open and constantly like pushing towards, whatever you feel like your goal is, God will constantly like lead your steps and like redirect your journey. So, I mean, it was always meant to be, you know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah.
Love that. Okay. So let's get into our last segments. I have two segments. One is how do I do it, where I basically just ask you, how do you do a specific thing? And you just break down how you do it. So
okay.
The first
all right.
So what we're going to talk about today is how do you brainstorm and develop a new concept? Because I know like at Conde, that is a part of like the dev team, which you used to be a part of. And you are creative, and you've created, like, I loved when you created your plant series on IG. I thought that was so hilarious. How do you, as a creative, how do you like brainstorm? Are you someone that gets like ideas when you're taking a shower? Do you like go for a run and things pop into your head? Like, how do you brainstorm, and then how do you develop the concept and flesh it out?
Okay, so I would say, like, honestly, it really depends. I get my best ideas though, like in the middle of the night. Like if I gotta get
While
up and
you're
go pee,
sleeping?
yeah, like if I gotta get up and go pee, like if it's like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, oh shit, like the thing I was thinking about like for so long, trying to like crack or like think about, or how can we do this, like it usually comes to me like at night, like when I wake up in the middle of the night, and then like I'll jot something down, or I'll like, if my phone is close, like I'll write it in my phone and then like go back to sleep. As far as like building out ideas now, I would say that there's times where I've been inconsistent, because like ideas I'll write them down, for sure. I'll think about it, and then like I think just like with work and other things, like my mind might get, but I might come back to that idea until it's fully like fleshed out, like wanting to, even storytelling as a whole. I remember in the pandemic, I was like, I want to do kind of like a TED Talk style podcast that like can be funny but doesn't have to be. And then I found out about the storytelling class, and it was kind of like the same thing I had like wrote down. I had no idea existed. So I was going to like create a platform that didn't necessarily exist, but that I thought. So once I took the class, I just started actively writing. I started writing out stories and practicing and like walking around like my apartment and saying a story or saying the idea or memorizing something. So like I think the ideas come from the middle of the night usually, sometimes in the shower too, that's too, but in the middle of the night. And then I think there's a process of me like I have to spend time in my crib to really flush it out. And it can't be anything on. Like I have to be everything off. And I usually pace around my crib and kind of like flesh it out. And then I'll write things until like things are shot and completed. And yeah, but even with work, like doing the same thing, kind of processing and doing research and it just it's erratic. Like I might write something and it might make sense to me and nobody else, but it's like an idea that I had, so I had to like, let me just write this down and kind of follow up on it. But I would say it hasn't been like easy all the time to be consistent. It hasn't been easy to be consistent. It's been really tough because life be lifing, and sometimes
facts.
life got hands, and all the time life got hands for real. But I've been taking more time to just assess how I feel in moments like that and be like, oh, and take time and not burn myself out of creative ideas. So I'm thankful because I've been pacing myself, but when them ideas pop up at night, I made sure to
Write it down.
Write it down. Yeah, it's a little bit.
No, I think that's so important as a creative, not to like burn yourself out, because like with
Yeah.
social media and like people always creating content, it's like you almost feel like you constantly have to put something out. Like you constantly have to like, what can I do to be like revolutionary?
All that. Yeah. You're thinking of like instead of getting caught up in and I do this too, getting caught up in your head, in the headspace. And that's why a lot of my ideas live because they're not coming out of the headspace. It's like, well, how can I be revolutionary? How can I say who I am without just doing it?
Yeah.
And I give grace to myself because it's not easy. But the things I have been able to create, I slowly start to see them just put them out. I don't give advice, but like put your shit out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's more so for me too. Like, put your shit out.
Yeah, because it just builds on top of the next project builds on top of that. You get better, the skills get better.
Yeah. Not everybody's gonna like and understand my shit, and that's okay. I understand that my voice is my voice, and your voice is your voice, and your thinking is your thinking, and nobody's gonna ever feel the same way about something. So for myself and anybody else who might be like, fuck it, do you I'm sorry for like, but do you?
No, it's
like,
okay.
Yeah,
it's funny because I'm normally the one that's cussing all the time, so I'm being good tonight. So let's get into the final segment. I have 3 questions for you. What do you regret? What do you hope for? And what do you want to receive or manifest? So what do you regret? What do you hope for? And what do you want to receive or manifest?
I really don't know. Like, I really don't know. I know it's cliche, but I don't really know if I have any like specific regrets. Because I'm here and I'm proud of who I am. and I also know that I'm nuanced. Like I'm like really great at something, and then really, really not great. Need to get your ass up and fix some shit on the other end. But I accept that. So I don't necessarily regret anything, but I want to continue to be intentional about spending time with others. I think there's been some times in my life where like you think other people are going to be there, and then they gone, whether that is like physically or like they leave the state you're in or the place you're in, and just especially after the like out of the pandemic, like
Yeah.
hug your folks.
And what do you want to receive or manifest?
What's for me? What's for me gonna be for me?
Everything.
For hey, not you know what? I wanna be able to. I want two things. I want to be able to continue to add to my happiness when it comes to my like career. So doing things that fulfill me, and that I really love and care about. And I pray that I continue to attract a curiosity of creativity, in all the aspects. Like I don't ever want to stop learning.
Yeah.
So I pray that like curiosity continues to be a part of my life when it comes to creative, like just not even creative, just art in general. Life. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never stop learning. I don't want to stop learning.
Yeah. That's the
And
best way to grow.
yeah, yeah. And what's your last question? It was
Oh, that was it. What do you
oh,
want
that
to
was it?
receive or and manifest? Yeah.
Receive and
Well, you
manifest.
said what do you hope for? I assume that was you saying you would hope to be more connected to people that you love and spend more time with them.
Not well, yeah. Shout out to them. Also though, like I really want to continue. I hope to continue to go around the country, go around the world and tell stories, help other people tell their stories. And I also hope to continue like my journey in acting and building confidence in that to start being in other spaces. Yeah, I'm just excited about learning about the craft. So
Nice.
I hope to continue putting my best foot forward in
Oh, yay. I'm excited. Like I'm excited on inside to see you on screen. I'm like, oh,
that.
here.
I'm excited too. I think I just owe it to myself to, not give up. Not give up on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna end on that note. We're not
Man, on
giving up on
that. Yeah.
ourselves.
That was
Thank you.